Hey guys, how's it going? Thank you for joining me for Tea with Taylor. Really excited to talk to you today about something that I'm actually still learning and constantly learning about is understanding the transgender community. Um, I have one of my good friends joining us today to talk about it with you. Happy Friday, everyone. I see my good friend Dion has joined us as well. Um, Thank you. And thank you guys so much for following on the socials, for keeping up on Instagram and Facebook and all that stuff, keeping up with the tea. Um, it's been a lot. It's been a struggle keeping up with the social medias. But I get a lot of help from my good friend Jayden Vieira, who's joining us today. Um, so that's nice. At least I don't have to worry about it. Also, happy holidays, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This will be the second to last installment for the Eat, Pray, Love chapters that I'm doing here with T. And the last one being religion and religious practices around the world, so to speak. We're going to hone in on a few things. But yeah, get ready for it. The religion talk is happening, y'all. So again, thank you for joining, giving you guys a few minutes to start your watch parties and all that jazz. I'm making sure to watch your comments here. If it is a little blurry today, I apologize. I'm trying to do it from my laptop today. We shall see how this turns out. For the good or the better, with the information will be here for us all. So I wanted to bring in my friend Jayden via Restream here. I was gonna say Zoom. Hey Jayden.
Hi, how are you, Taylor?
Good. How are you doing today?
The sun is shining, the snow is melting, so the roads are a little less icy. So I'm great because I can go.
Yeah, we have had a lot of snow the past overnight, 13 inches, I think it was.
Yes, I'm not upset. I'm not. I
I'm
love
over it already. Over it, just because I don't want to have to put on bundles to go outside, and I didn't realize until it happened that I don't own a snow shovel.
it. You know what? I was like, so my birthday is in February, so I'm a snow baby. So I've always been like all about the
Oh,
snow.
nice.
And a good friend of mine, Jen Bonin, shout out to her. I saw that she had posted her little meteorology forecast, and I was like, I'm gonna buy a shovel today.
I
I-
wish I was. I wish I was on top of that, but yeah, I was not. I didn't realize until I needed it that I didn't have it. Lovely.
and thankfully, you know what's a good thing? Now living in Pawtucket, I have my own driveway, which I've never had before. Um, I have to shovel it, but
I
my,
don't miss that.
my neighbor's a really good guy. He came out and we shoveled it together. We made small talk. It was really nice. I've never really had a neighbor that actually tries to talk to you. Like, so
Nice. I love that. I really do love that. When I had my own driveway, I my neighbors would never. So I'm really like that's wow. That's mind blowing to hear somebody actually did that.
yeah.
For free?
What did you say?
For free?
Oh, yeah, because we share the same driveway, so he gets like one spot.
Ah.
But I'm on top of things, so I was already shoveling, and he came out. Oh, the landlords usually have someone come plow, and I'm like, yeah, I'm impatient. I'm not waiting. So,
Yeah, no, no. So tell our viewers what you've been up to lately. Other than that, you just moved to Pawtucket.
yes, I did in August. So it's been a little while. But I'm from Massachusetts, New Bedford, so it's not much different. Pawtucket's kind of like a little Fall River. You're
Yeah.
familiar with the area, so it's like Portuguese over here and it's Portuguese over there.
I love the Portuguese peeps.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's good. That's great. At least you're riding the wave of COVID like we're all doing right now.
Yeah.
Seems like you're doing pretty good.
Yes, and also,
Um,
I did want to mention I do have my own little art page. It's called Jayden's Artistry. So I've been kind of doing a little bit of art and also looking for jobs because COVID gave me unemployment. So
Yep.
besides that, I have, just been trying to keep my sanity in this thing we call a pandemic, I guess.
Oh, I know. Tell me about it.
Cabin
Same.
fever. Cabin fever's hitting immensely.
Same. Oh my gosh. I've been trying to like make sure I keep myself isolated, but it is definitely playing a trick on the mental health a little bit sometimes.
Yes. And now that it's cold, it's like, okay, so where can I go? What do
Right. What can I do?
Yes.
That's a good question. If you guys want some suggestions in the comments and everything about what you do to pass time or to keep busy right now, let us know. I like to hear those kinds of things. So, getting into it, you did. I mean, before we do, you were talking about, how unemployment works right now. We're all pretty familiar with it. It's like 50% of the country right now.
Yeah.
But I did hear that the stimulus check is back on the table.
Yes.
We're talking about an actual check of about, I want to say 600 or so, depending on the person.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I'm excited for that.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that they approve it, considering the rest of the world's countries, they're getting every month they're getting assistance. So,
Yeah. They give us 1,200 and they're like, you're good, right?
Yeah. But they're literally unemployment. I don't know if you have to claim or if you've had to at all during that, but you're literally getting a little bit less than half of what you make. How do you expect people to live?
Right. That's why I'm like, okay, I'm glad it's back on the table, but like, what's happening? What's going on?
Yeah. About all those other months that you forgot about us and
right, those months and months.
There's a lot of jobs available, but all of those jobs involve you being front lines to COVID. So
yeah, no, thank you.
Not even offering higher pay because of it.
I know that blew my mind too. I was like, I know a friend who works in nursing, and I was like, so you're getting more, right? You're getting that money, right? And she's like, no. She posted a picture of her face being all marked up from her mask, and I reached out to her, and I was like, oh my god, what?
I do know a lot of people that work in the health field, and most of the CNAs or nurses that are getting higher pay wage, they all work in private facilities versus state facilities. Mm-hmm. And I heard a rumor, well, I'm not sure if it's a rumor, my mom told me that does PCA work, that in Massachusetts, the government is paying people to keep their elderly home versus putting them in a nursing home to try and keep COVID rates down.
Yeah, yep, I heard that.
So
that's I mean, preventative measures are lacking in a few preventative measures. So I understand that they're trying to find the best solution, but is that the best solution? I don't know.
I don't think so.
Freaking Dion is commenting on my sweater, and it made me self-conscious. So I just checked myself out, and apparently he's jealous of your beard as well.
I've been growing it, so thank you.
I know, I've been growing mine out too. This is my COVID beard.
You always have a nice beard, so I'm like, yes, I don't know.
Thank you. Everyone heard that, right? Yeah. Okay.
Also, listen on your sweater's fine.
Thank you. I thought so. It's my holiday sweater. So, me, Jayden and I, we both are working with the Progress channel, as you guys have probably already heard me talk about. And that is why Jayden is going to be the perfect person to speak on understanding the trans community today, I thought. Also, I heard some pretty, and just so you guys understand, the key to understanding is knowledge. So that's what we're doing here. That's the goal. We're trying to make sure that you guys have a little bit of knowledge that we know, and you can elaborate on that. If we say something that you don't feel is correct, feel free to comment or anything along those lines. And again, thank you guys for listening. But I say that to say that the Progress Gang did share some interesting information about Michael Carrera. Did you want to share that with us?
Yes, I did actually. So and don't quote me exactly, you can all go look for yourself on Carrera's Facebook. I'm sure it's private because it's a public figure. But he did resign not from the city council, but he resigned from being a board member, exactly of what it's called. But because of the things that he said in regards to a trans individual, Justice Gaines, a very strong activist in the Providence community and a community member as well. So seeing that, there's multiple. It's like not his Twitter exactly, but if you go on Twitter, you can find records of him saying misgendering multiple times, misgendering Justice, and continuing to do so after being corrected.
Right.
And that kind of behavior when you're a public figure is not only harmful towards the community that you're directly harming, but it's also harmful to others because you're teaching them that that's okay.
Right. Yep.
That's not okay. So he did publish a Facebook post saying that he apologized for that, and I hope that the rest of the community holds him accountable for that, because although I'm mind blown that he even did the apology, because we don't see that often in politics where people admit that they're wrong and then they resign from something because they feel that immense guilt for how they made someone else feel, but also like more actions. We need to see more, not just, okay, here's a Facebook page. I sat down and I spoke with Justice myself and I apologized, so everything's okay now. No.
And it's not. And it's not.
Now you need to bring awareness to your people on that city council and to those who voted for you and those who are
accountability
running. Yeah, hold him accountable.
Yeah.
Because he may have just apologized, but that doesn't mean that he's actually still trying to educate himself on the
Which it doesn't seem like he is, because he's intentionally misgendered after being told. So it doesn't seem that way to me.
Yeah. And I know that Ken Barber and the Progress Report team had put together, I believe, I wasn't sure if it was them or if someone else did it, the petition, and I had signed the petition.
Oh yeah.
To get Michael off the city council, which I'm sure he saw that floating around and was like, okay, I'm just going to resign because I can't take the negativity from the media and such. When it's like, instead of taking negativity from the media, correct yourself. Say, okay, I was wrong. I was really wrong. And please help me with trainings. What can I do to better understand how I harmed the community?
Yeah. Yep. And it doesn't seem like he's taking those steps. He just it's like, I'm going to beat them to the punch.
Facebook status. It's almost like, oh, they're going to break up with me, so let me break up with them first.
Literally. That's what it felt like. That is what exactly it felt like. And then with that being said, Elon Musk also was in some heat for saying some homophobic meme that he posted. Did you hear about that?
I did not.
The human rights activists are urging him to apologize publicly because he posted a meme of a guy like kind of rubbing his face in agony with the tagline of when someone posts he, his as their pronouns on a job interview, and it was a meme of a guy like stretching his face out like in agony. And so the human rights activists have reached out to him multiple times about his Twitter post and urging him to apologize. Again, misinforming and not understanding how his tweet could be conceived by the LGBTQI community and trans people and people all around the world. You're this person who has this huge platform. You can't just say things like that. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
You're gonna have to send me that because I'd like to see it, and it's very frustrating because even if you didn't voice your intentions, the picture says it all.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to exactly say, maybe he doesn't have to say, I don't like this for it to be wrong.
Yeah, and people felt that he was mocking people for addressing pronouns. And that's not something that should be taken lightly. If you're this huge business owner and someone is addressing their pronouns, don't make them feel lesser than for, letting you know or giving you that knowledge. That doesn't seem right.
Yeah. And honestly, why is it why is it their concern as to someone's pronouns? Like, if you meet
Right.
someone, hey, these are my pronouns. Okay, guess what? It makes you so much easier for you not to gender someone because they already told you their pronouns.
Right. And his quote was after he was urged by the human rights activists to apologize. His quote was, "It's just aesthetically troublesome to have to worry about writing someone's pronouns." I'm like, bruh, are you kidding me? Because it doesn't look right on paper to you, or you're not comfortable with it. It's not aesthetically pleasing, or whatever. Like, seriously, get over yourself.
What a poor thing. Change scares him so much.
Right. And that's another thing with, the trans community that you guys deal with, and we're going to get into it. With you being a trans person, I wanted you to explain to people what that means to you. But addressing the trans stigma, that's a really big one, especially in the workplace. So tell us, what does being trans mean to you?
So, if I've been on hormones for 5 years now. And if you asked me this question each year, the answer would have probably changed. But at my 5th year, I'm sure that the answer would not change after this. Being trans to me is being ever evolving. So,
I love that.
yeah, ever evolving.
I
Because
love that.
going through my first year of transition was like going through 15 years of puberty as a young boy, all in one small year. And then that second, third year span was like, who am I? Like, who do I find attractive? I don't have to act rough and tough in order to be a man. That's not the stereotype for males is just me thinking that I had to be a certain way.
Uh-huh.
Created such a toxic person within myself, and I was already going through the whole gender identity crisis.
Right.
So then now I'm trying to act like something I'm totally not at all.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I have any like 1 ounce of femininity, that I'm going against life. You
Mm-hmm.
know? Like, if this is who I am, if I say that I'm a man, I have to act like a
Yeah.
man. How a man acts, when that's totally not true.
That's that deep rooted, I have to pass and make you feel comfortable problem.
Yes. So being trans to me and these past 2 years has made me realize that I'm always adapting. There's always room for growth, and I'll always be changing. You don't have to identify as gay. You don't have to identify as straight. You probably won't or may not. A majority of people may not identify with one sole identity for their entire life. We're all
Absolutely.
it's our natural ability to adapt, all the way back to science. So Charles Darwin teaches that, like, we adapt to whatever comes our way. And I
Yeah.
think that being trans just allows me to be much more open-minded with humanity.
Yeah. And that's an attestament to mostly, I hate to give them credit, but mostly the younger generation being as diverse and having a more broad spectrum of sexuality, being more informed about, not having to conform to one certain thing, like you're saying, for your entire life. And then, again, the trans stigma. That's just like, if I'm feminine and I'm perceived as a male figure, will people think that I'm not as much of a male? And that's a very unfortunate situation that you have to deal with. Knowing people and having trans friends, I hear it often. It's really terrible that you think that I'm trying to be my truer self, but in the process, to appease someone else, I have to be someone else.
Right.
That's terrible.
I had come up with in the beginning of this year, I entered an art piece for something, and they asked me to write a short bio. And basically, I've spent all the way up until now, I'm 24 years old, my life coming out. So at 12 years old, I told my mom, I'm bisexual. And then at 15, I'm like, nope, I'm a lesbian. And then started learning about gender identity. And when I hit 18, I was like, this is it. This
Yeah.
is so, because of coming out as bisexual and then a lesbian, I was so confused with myself because I was like, okay, so that like I had always liked cis women, but up until the point of transition, my whole thought process changed with who I'm attracted to and what makes me attracted to them.
Right, and that's okay.
Yeah, that's totally okay. And I'm grateful for testosterone doing that, because before I was doing what a lot of society does, and that's, oh, boy blue, girl pink,
Right,
stereotyping in such a way. Now I'm like, you know, you don't you could have this part of your life where you feel like you're bisexual, and then you could have that part of your life where you feel like you're a gay man or you feel like you're a lesbian, and
absolutely.
hey, it builds you up to get where you need to be. You could
That's
be
the point.
fluid after that.
Yep.
So I
That's
just
that's a good point. It's building you up to where you want to be,
yes,
and that it's not like something you should be afraid of. I really love that. Thank you for that.
yes,
And then once you get past the stigma, again, then you have the one of the major problems is lack of legal protection as well. When you choose to identify legally as a trans person or a transgender person, which again is unfortunately a lot of the younger generation, we have what was the stat? More than 2 million of the U.S. across the United States have parents, siblings, and kids that are identified as transgendered or trans, which is the umbrella term that they use. Even some kids now identifying as trans younger and younger, to the point where parents are not gendering their children until they are of age to gender themselves, which could be interesting. I
I agree.
don't. I'm not a parent, like I said when we started the Eat, Pray, Love chapters. So I don't know, but I would not mind. I would let my child, whatever. Sure, you let me know.
I think that actually, I think, started the beginning of this year, where it was a big story in the headlines. Oh, people uh, are now allowed to label their child as gender X or something.
Yeah,
I think gender X or gender Z, one of those, where they don't have a gender. And then most of the time, I like to say, we have the fear of the unknown. So if you're not educated on something, 9 out of 10 times when you first start learning about it, you might be afraid of it, or you might have negative thoughts about it because you haven't experienced it yet, or you haven't known someone who went through it, or you
right.
have no idea what it even is.
Yeah,
Like I say, if you don't know water exists, do you ever go think about buying a boat?
right. Exactly.
So, but so in terms to what I was getting at with that is that I just think that when it comes to I just lost train of thought. What were we talking about?
That's okay. It's okay. It happens. I do
Everyone's
that
laughing.
sometimes. I do that sometimes, and I'm just like, hold on, wait. That's why I have these papers because I literally will lose track in the middle of a statement.
Oh my god.
We're talking
Remember,
about the lack of legal protection once you
yeah.
decide to identify.
Okay. So one, when I I kind of envision the future as a genderless future. So we'll have, masculinity and femininity and how people express themselves, if we use those words to
Mm-hmm.
describe things, will be a different thing. But I feel like, because of gender, and I understand, you know recreation is a big part of that too.
Oh
People want to have children,
yeah. Oh
which
yeah.
is okay. It's okay if you want to have children,
Yeah.
that's natural. But I think people don't know how to love, um
Mm.
consent, because they have a physical blind on. So like,
Oh yes, you can say that a couple times.
I like to think about, like, when I think of someone I love, to if I was blind, if I could not see, how would I still love this person?
Mm.
Would I still care about even not even just a relationship, like friendships and
Yeah.
parental? Would I still love this person, or what if what I seeing is just a facade? So
Yeah. And then, on top of that, again, trans people deal with a lot more issues that people tend to look past because it doesn't affect them. I read that, trans people live in poverty at elevated rates. Around 29% of trans adults live in poverty. And that also is something that probably includes gay people in general, but 30% of people elevated higher in the trans community are living in poverty. And I think that's because of the lack of legal protection, the lack of ability to get identifying documents. Once people decide to go through surgery and things of that nature, I feel like that's also a big role in that. And it costs a lot of money, and the government is behind on that, I feel. Do you agree with that?
I do agree. However, I'm not sure about Rhode Island, but in Massachusetts, Mass Health covers X surgeries. So depending on what gender reassignment surgeries you want to have, certain ones are covered under insurance.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm beyond fortunate that I had insurance to cover. I had top surgery. That was the only surgery that I had, and as up to this point in my life right now, it's the only surgery that I feel that I needed, to make myself feel comfortable. And
Yeah.
not everyone goes through medical transition, and I think that's where we get extreme poverty
Right.
coming for trans and gender nonconforming individuals, because when people are saying, hey, I don't want to medically transition, or that they can't because they may have another medical condition, medical that
Yeah.
can that, then we have people who appear physically on a more non-binary spectrum, and like I said before, those who are not educated react in fear, and
Right.
then is jobs to not be had, or employees to be continuously misgendered at work, and they're being put into physical harm and mental harm. Like
Right.
they're
Right. That plays a toll on your mental health. And people look at a trans person, I feel, as almost like predatory or like it's a sexual thing, and it's just it's a lifestyle. It's not. I don't really care who you have sex with or who you like, unless it's me. It doesn't matter, and
yes.
do you. But in the workplace, it seemed that's almost like a sexual thing, and I'm like, I don't know. I don't think it has. You don't have to worry about that part of it.
Yeah, for some reason there it's just always, oh, worried about the bathroom, who I have to use the bathroom with,
Yeah.
why,
What?
when we're all going in there to just excrete whatever we ate earlier in the day. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know about you, but especially not at work, not going to the bathroom to do any sexual activity.
Right. What?
Those
Like what?
are their own fault. Like, you with your issues, but
If anything, the cleanliness of the bathroom is a turnoff alone. So cut it out.
gross.
And then one
Also,
last thing I really wanted to highlight and bring attention to. I know you probably can talk about it a little bit as well. Is the violence against trans people that you suffer with. 54% of trans people have experienced some form of violence. That's absolutely unacceptable.
there should
That's more than half of the people that took this survey saying they have experienced, just for being trans, have experienced some sort of violence.
and now
Completely unacceptable.
let's not forget about those who didn't take the survey because they don't have access to do so.
Right.
And those are the ones who are being affected and more immensely. And not to mention trans women. And
Absolutely.
I want to say that I'm fortunate because most of the time it's, oh, I didn't know you were trans, which is I always respond, yep, that's the point.
Yep.
But I told you because I use myself to educate others. I blast myself all the time. I always out myself, and it's not okay to out someone else, but I out myself all the time
Right.
because others need to be educated on trans individuals. Like, oh, you're worried about so and so who isn't passing by your eye, but what about me?
Right.
Why
Right.
aren't you wearing? Oh, well, I didn't know you were. Okay, so what is the difference between
Doesn't.
you going and I'm sitting here putting myself on blast, sacrificing myself because you're slandering this other person? That's
Yeah.
not. you're going to treat me this way, you got to treat them that way.
Yeah, that's true. I'm really disgusted by that statistic when I read it, and I was like, oh boy, let's see what Jayden says about that, because this is terrible. We talked about it on T. Wit Taylor on other chapters, other episodes. Just violence in general, or anything. When we talked about dating a few weeks ago, any kind of like date rape and violence in that way, anything that you wouldn't do to your mother or your family member, even that is mostly unacceptable. Any kind of violence geared towards someone for being who they are, any kind of like distancing or any kind of like ostracization, that is so unacceptable. We're going into 2021. I just can't fathom the idea of someone justifying it like our girl J.K. Rowling. And even with it being so in our face and so public, we still have a lot of work to do with understanding trans people, and making that more of a topic and understanding the trans community. So thank you, Jayden, for helping me do that sort of today.
Thank you for having
Of course.
spreading some more awareness to your viewers and your future viewers that are going to watch this, because this is important. If there's one thing that I could say when it comes to individuals meeting trans individuals, it's like, okay, before you sit here and think about what's in their pants, how about you ask them what their favorite childhood book was?
Right.
Or ask them something meaningful, like why the first
Anything.
is always sex.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a problem. That's a problem with our economy and people being brainwashed. That's a whole nother episode.
Sex sells.
No, seriously. Well, I'm really glad to have had trans friends or meeting trans people, and to be given somewhat of a platform so that I'm able to interact with people, locally and around the world, here on Facebook. Potentially, I'm really grateful for all the experiences that I've been in contact with that has created me. Especially, getting to know you over the past few months has been great, and educating myself as well. I'm really, really excited and really happy to do that. And going into the new year, I'm challenging everyone to do that as well. Don't make it another trans person's problem. Just like Black people don't need your how to not be racist problem, don't make it another trans person's problem. Take it upon yourself. Do some educating. There are avenues out there. Jayden, feel free to share that link about getting funding for your surgeries, and how you may do that through Medicare and Medicaid. That would be really helpful. You guys can check that out in the comment section. And again, always be good to yourselves, guys. And thank you for watching so much. I'll see you in the next one.
Thank you.
Later.